So in my last video on Wrong Way Sides, I forgot to include something I think I really should have, a game that really stands out in kind of the history of this opening, at least in the return of the site, because there actually is a game played by a great player in a weekly chat tournament using this type of opening, and it was used against me, and the game has haunted me, so I really should have remembered it, but it only came to me after. And I thought it really showed a lot of the kind of reasons for a side starter. So if we look at the second turn player's hand, and I usually like to do that when figuring out a starter first, we see going up there's a 10, a 9, and then 6s, and then a 5. So there's some significant up power, though it does drop off. To the right, there's 2 10s, an 8, 2 7s. That's very strong. There's also some double numbers to cover 10s. Not that we have any 10s to the left if we're the first turn player. Incidentally, Delial was the first turn player. I was the second turn player. If we look at the second turn player's down numbers, there's a 10, an 8, couple 7s, and a 6. And so, again, there's a strong number and some support. We should be looking at how they match up, but just for now, just checking the numbers. To the left, however, there's a 10, and then 3 5s and a 4. So the second turn player drops off really quickly to the left. And if we see a directional weakness like this, an instinct is, okay, I should start on the left side of the board. Now, that could mean you end up starting with something like this, though here I think there may have been setups, so now not seeing them. This certainly looks like a decent starter. It's not obvious, however, there's play against just capturing. So it probably doesn't look like a decent starter, because I can probably just flip it and have a nice position. But that's, kind of looking at moves over here to take advantage of the left weakness, but being sure not to forget that 4 is one of the moves over here. It's not just 1 and 7, but 4 exists as well. And if we look at the second turn player's hand, A775 is primarily an up-down card. It also, faces upright, but it's a lot more up-down than side-to-side. 6-8-A5 is, of course, a fairly balanced card, but it's a lot more up-down than side-to-side again. And you might think, okay, an 8's not that much less than a 10, a 5's only a little less than a 6. Having a 10 really matters a lot, because having a 10 means that 6 can same wall stuff, and not having a 10 side-to-side means the secondary number does not have features like that. So it makes the secondary number a little better, so the difference between 6 and 5 is a little bigger than it looks. 5-7-7-A is certainly a side-to-side card. Now, 9-A-6-4 may sound like, okay, the A powers up the 4, but there's no 4s to the right in either of the hands, so it doesn't here. And there is, at least there's one, it's in our hand, but there is one 6 facing down. There's a little more there, and there's some 9s facing down that the 6-5 can pick off, while the 5 never hits very much. I guess it could hit 9-5-8-7. But 9-A-6-4 has a higher total up-down, and there's a chance it plays better side-to-side, but it certainly can't go to both sides, right? And 6-A-8-5 is pretty similar. And overall, I think the hand's a little better up-down than side-to-side, and has a weakness going left. And so finding a starter in 4, I think felt very logical with the stuff he's considered. And Deli starts with this wrong way starter. And you'll notice it fits the wrong way goal of it as a card that can recapture with a combo both ways. So if I slide along next to it, it's difficult for me. And like is the goal with wrong way starters, it's also a weird card for me to play around in 5. I either don't take it, or I have to overpower it with a card potentially really susceptible to combos elsewhere. Now, not that I would take it immediately, but this kind of move, if this ever lands here, or this lands here, those both set up combos in 6. If this lands here, there's combos in both 2 and 6 for 9-5-8-7, right? There's lots of ways for there to be combo potential. I can never capture from 5 and have it be clean. And that's one of the nice things of the wrong way side starter, is you make it so their moves in 5 aren't clean. When we put a card for a side starter with a 10 facing out, Not saying this is a good move. I'm saying it's not. But it means the setups are cleaner, right? If they... Now, it's a good way to show this. Say they take safety here, we take safety back, and... No, this isn't the way I wanted to show it. Say, pretend we can't take. They set up something like this. Their threatened 5 will flip it such that there's no combo back, right? And this A6-8-5 guarantees that if there's captures from 5, it's gonna start being combo backable. So I thought this was just a really nice example of a wrong way starter, one I never would have found, and gave me a really difficult time. I ended up going in 1, but I didn't really have a great setup for 2. He went in 7, and I spent a while here, and if I have the solver tell me, I have 5 moves that tie here and 19 moves that lose. But it's a really difficult position, because I don't really want to play anywhere except 2. If I do something like this, I lose to the huge combo setup we just saw. I get crushed by it, right? And so I can't really touch it. If I go this way, I assume I'm walking into 2 combos in 5, and they don't even have to take him. They can just sit on it, because anything I put here will now be susceptible to combos. This one is hit by this. This one is hit presumably by this. This one is hit by this or this. Probably this move is actually best. Anything's just walking into so much combo potential. They can also win, I think, by going here, setting up 9, 5, 8, 7 to again have every square. Yeah, that wins too. So just so much combo play against my cards because I can't take something cleanly. So kind of the useful thing to do is lock in something from 2, but it's actually hard to find a good way to do it, and I kept calculating it out to losses. For instance, if I do it this way, alright, there's a number of things they can do, but by giving them the combo in 3, it's hard for me to touch 5, and by giving them the combo in 5, it's hard for them to touch 3, right? 8-6, 8-6 just dominates me here. Looks like this card also wins. Again, I just can't access 5. I walk into too many combos. And note, I have a combo back, but it doesn't really help much. So 2 just looked really hard. The solver is saying this in 2 ties. As I remember, I thought this lost. I don't remember why. I didn't think I had a tie in 2. I ended up having to find this move to hold the tie, which was not a move I wanted to make. And it turns out it was a losing move. Delial played 8-6, 8-6, and 9, which is the move I thought was best. And I had calculated out that I could play in 2. Did I have any other ties? I had a bunch of other ties. Okay, but I had calculated specifically this line in 2 and seen that it tied, and the game ended with him going in 3 and me taking 5 and sneaking out a tie. But he actually did have a win here that neither of us saw, which was to put the very slightly different 3, 9, 9, 8 in 9, and I don't remember what I thought. Apparently this is just winning for him. But yeah, he got this huge initiative. He ended up winning the match anyway. He played great and completely outplayed me, but also just left me befuddled every game. And this wrong way starter was just really difficult for me to meet. I didn't want to play on the right side of the board. I had nothing I could put there that was hard for him to take. And also left out just, such weak numbers. It couldn't create any challenge for him. And he immediately threatened to play, maybe in 1 or 7 and create challenges for me. So it was just hard for me to go in the distance. I kind of wanted to go next to it and take the sort of safety he was giving me because he didn't control the adjacent squares. But after this, I just found it a really difficult position because the strange number, rather than being a high number facing out with defensive sides, the strange number facing out made it really uncomfortable for me to deal with. Delial had a wonderful feel here for all the combos. Anytime this card comes out, this card just goes diagonal to it and just destroys me. And that's, true here as well. Really good feel for the combo potential, which is, as I said, one of the main ways to play. I mean, the type of player that should be playing wrong way side starters is ones with really good feel for combinative potential. and I couldn't find a plan. That was the other thing it did that I thought was really interesting, was it took away my plans. And fundamentally, if your hand is more up down and they do a side starter, that's already difficult. It's already going to be harder to find uses for your cards. And if you have a weakness in a direction and they do a side starter starting on that side, that again is a limitation to what your hand can do. And so it was going to be harder for me to find a way to play a hand. And then the wrong-sidedness, the wrong-way-ishness, meant there was never any clean captures. I always had to be looking out for combos, and it just made it really hard for me to envision this game. I think it's a really cool game Delial played here. I don't have any examples from my play where I did something like this to someone, but I think he did a really good job of taking a hand that is not particularly impressive if you just look at the cards, and creating serious problems for a strong opponent, me. So I think it's one of the great games, and I think it's a really lovely example of one of these wrong way sides, where the first thing he notices is, a6-8-5 and 8-6-8-6 combine well together, but then there's like so many more just little components of like, I want the game to be side to side, or up down, so he makes it a little, I wanted a little more to be up down, so he makes it side to side. I don't want to be going to the left, he makes it to the left. And he has the double recapture on a wrong way starter with one card. And the 6 facing out, and I think that's important too for these wrong way starters, is the 6 facing out is just really annoying for my hand to deal with. It doesn't actually have to be a big number. And I regularly make starters like this, saying, you only have one way to take, and maybe I play against that. Here he wouldn't, but like pretend this was safe or something. Or I guess maybe just go for the recapture. That's probably just much better anyway. But this is annoying. You only have one capture. I can need it. Maybe I have play against your other captures. Maybe in this specific case there isn't. But, that kind of thing. I regularly do corner starters, not saying you can't take it, but saying this is annoying for you to deal with. And Deli showed you can do that with a side starter too. So I think this is the best wrong way side starter I've seen. A really inspiring one. Again, one showing that it's all about kind of weird combo potentials down the road, but also not just creating combos for him, but denying combos for me, right? My cards never click at all this game, and I ended up escaping with a tie, both because I got lucky, but also like just barely escaped with a tie against this weird-looking move, but one that I think with some study and some thought makes a lot of sense. And honestly, this is one of the coolest games Deli's played in the return, and he's played a lot of cool games in the return. And I was just flummoxed. Like, I couldn't come up with things to do. I couldn't figure out ways to attack him or pressure him or create anything. All the L's seemed so ugly to me. All the far corners seemed like they achieved nothing, and he had a free hand to control the direction of the game. And I don't like giving Deli a free hand to intuit direction of the game. I tend to find that not a useful strategy for me. So I think this is kind of the best of wrong way side starters, but also gives a good sense of kind of reasons you might look at a side starter in general. I didn't see this move coming, but looking at the blue hand, we should think, okay, starting on the left side seems good. Looking at the blue hand, we might think making it a side-to-side game seems good, and that could lead us to 4. And we might see this synergy within the hand and realize 4 is actually a really nice place to start, and not just a very strange one, but a genuinely powerful starter that really, as I said, flummoxed me. So, just fantastic game by Deli, but also masterful understanding of how to take advantage of directional weakness, where directional weakness doesn't just mean bad left, but can mean more up-down than left-right, can mean more left-right than up-down, can mean just has a bad time taking this random 6. Fantastic vision from Deli. Great game. He fully deserved to win this match, and yeah, the other games weren't great for me either, but this was the most interesting of them.